Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to give everyone a couple of minutes just to get settled, and it's just 1 o'clock. Just for anybody tuning in for the first time, we're moving Uncensored and In Charge to 1 p.m. For the future. So tune in earlier in your day than at the end of your day. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Uncensored and In Charge. My name is Erin Childs, and I want to thank all of you who are tuning into today's live episode. And for those listening later, when it's best for you, welcome. Okay, so today's topic has been a hot topic, I would say, forever. But I have had more discussions recently about teams and what defines a team in the last 10 days than I can actually remember talking about teams. Recently, I had to help navigate feelings for somebody who didn't make a team that they wanted to. And now this felt deeply personal to this person. And I'm talking about an individual who is incredibly talented. They are smart, they are hardworking, and they are, in my eyes, just pure good. I am biased because I deeply do respect this person, and they are the reason why I am talking about teams today. However, we're going to leave names and things like that out of it. They were flat out rejected, flat out. There was no discussion as to why they didn't make the team. And they were basically just told, you're going to go on to this team. You're not making this big team. And that was that. There was nothing else discussed. Now, I've thought long and hard, and I actually didn't sleep for a few days because this kept running through my head. And I couldn't grasp as a leader that you could diminish another person's ego the way that this person's ego felt so diminished. And I couldn't imagine, most importantly, treating anybody like this. It actually kind of made me mad, but I had to separate that. If I had been this leader, I kept thinking to myself that I would have at least owned the lack of communication that was set forth. I would have explained to this person that I'm speaking about that didn't make the team why that person wasn't good enough. And I would have laid out and made it super clear what the expectations are to be part of the team that that person wanted to be a part of. And then I'm going to flip it a little and say to the person who didn't make the team, I would ask myself if I wanted to be on that team and why I wanted to be on that team so badly. What did that team represent? And here's another thought. What happens if, as the leader that rejected this other person, didn't realize that they had hurt this person's ego and made them feel less than? So it kind of made me start really diving into a team and today's topic. So a team, what is a team? And what kind of team do you want? And how do you form a good team? And this is really important. Now, I have been saying this with any topic that I have probably ever discussed, that it will always come down to leadership. Leadership, in my eyes and in my opinion, really kind of sets the tone and stage for everything that we do, right? They create the team. They set the expectations for the team, right? We can go on and debate that, but I'm going to keep on my thought process here. It doesn't matter. What I've realized is that it really doesn't matter your age, whether or not you're an adult in the working world, a child, a teenager. It doesn't matter how old you are. A really old person, I don't know. It's probably not appropriate for me to say that, but it doesn't matter the age. And the reason why I say this is because what I'm going to talk about today really can be broken down, not just professionally, but personally, athletically, in our day-to-day lives with any type of encounter with a group of people that we come into. So I'm going to jump back for a second. If you do not have a good leader, one that pushes you, communicates to you, asks you questions, makes you set expectations, and cheers for you to become the best version of yourself that you can possibly be, then you should actually start questioning this leadership and perhaps decide what would make it better for you. And in this perfect moment, I want all of you leaders to take a look at yourself and ask yourself, am I doing what's right for me? Am I doing what's right for my team? Am I doing what's right for my brand, my company, whatever it is, whatever organization you're a part of? I think that that's extremely important. Okay. So I am going to, sorry, I just got distracted with questions. Okay. So I'm going to take a step back again. When I say team, I want a few things first. A few things come right to my mind. Okay. I think of a team, I think of people. I don't think of individuals. I think of a group of shared purposes, clear goals, visions, missions. I think of strengths, different roles having different skills, each person having different skills that are basically put together almost like a puzzle. And together we're creating this beautiful puzzle that all works together. I think of trust and accountability, each person relying on each other to deliver what we said we would. I think of communication. I think of open dialogue, alignment, healthy conflict even. I think that that's all good and really important. I think one of the most really important things for me and a team is a support system, lifting each other up, especially when things get hard. That is so important to me. It really matters. It matters to me. And I think as leaders and as somebody who coaches leaders, I think that I should really emphasize how important having a support system at your work is. So this is kind of in all of my thought process on this and all of what I had been trying to put together, I decided I was going to Google what is a team. And here's what popped up. I copied and pasted this. A team is a group of people with interdependent members who share a common goal, purpose, and accountability, working together in a coordinated and collaborative way to achieve outcomes greater than their individual efforts. Key characteristics of a team include a shared vision, complementary skills, and open communication, and a sense of belonging and identity among members. Sounds pretty good, right? In my experience, what makes a good team is a foundation that's laid before them from the leaders, from you guys. One that is built on positivity from the very beginning. And building a good team, I've learned it takes a really long time. It takes consistency. And this is where it gets hard. It takes consistency day in and day out of putting in the effort to make and create the best team possible that works hard, that plays hard, that has fun, that wants to work for you. It is about micro moments of building on top of each other. This is what makes good teams. These are the teams that people want to be on. These are the types of teams that people search for. And as a leader, I would say these are the types of teams that you would like to create, that you should create. Okay? So, I believe if you build a positive culture, this gives you a thriving team. And a team that would be built on trust and respect, where teammates feel safe to share ideas, make mistakes, and support each other. I think that's super important. I think that if you build a culture that has clear purpose, a team that has clear purpose, everyone will understand the why behind what they're doing. And so the effort in all of what you're doing really feels meaningful and positive. I think that building a positive culture on shared accountability wins. And these wins can be celebrated together. Setbacks, problems, issues, concerns get to be solved together. A team that works in that direction, it's a good feeling. It also brings you to build energy and momentum. And this positively fuels teams, gives them motivation. People will actually probably go the extra mile because you have built a culture of a team that feels good, that makes people feel good, that makes people want to be a part of it. Okay? Now, we're talking about every kind of team, right? But we're also talking about the catering world, and that a catering team that values open communication might jump in to help each other during a busy event instead of blaming when something goes wrong or something is forgotten. Okay. And we've all been in those situations in catering events or drop off catering experiences where we've been stuck, something was forgotten. And rather than blame, a good team will come together and figure out what's the fastest way for me to solve this problem. This team, who's a quick problem-solving team, will be focused more on delivering a great guest experience because that is what they were trained and taught to do, right? You as the leader have taught them that they need to make sure that they're taking care of the guest, and that this positive culture of I'm going to make this amazing has trickled down to the team. And they want to make sure that they make their company proud, but their leader proud. And in all of that, that makes them proud. Okay? So that's all positive stuff. That's all good stuff. Here's the difference. Building a negative culture, if you build a negative culture or you're not aware that you're building a negative culture, you are going to find a failing team. You are going to find distrust and blame, where people start to hide mistakes, where they might point fingers, they might compete against each other, or honestly, really even worse for both you as the leader and your brand, they don't care. Okay? All of this negativity will also bring you confusion and misalignment, where what I mean with that is that there is no clear vision or goals, and individuals, your individual team members start to pull in different directions. Maybe one cares a little bit more than the other, but they both don't care. Maybe they just are showing up to do their job, punch their card. And most of the time, I'm going to tell you that these people probably aren't showing up to do their best to the best of their ability. And half-assed jobs because somebody never showed them the right way to do it. This is going to create this low morale where all of their effort feels thankless. They're burnt out. Your turnover rates are fairly often. And they get the vibe from you that you don't care, so they don't care. And stagnation comes in. And without collaboration, the innovation dies, problems repeat, and no one has stopped to correct them, because this is the negative culture that this team has been dealing with. A team where leaders and managers only criticize literally creates fear. Staff stop speaking up. Mistakes continue to multiply, and guests notice the lack of coordination in details that are starting to be missed, whether it's in orders, whether it's in packouts, whether it's in the way that your food is presented, whatever the detail, they start to notice this. Can you imagine this? If you stop for a second, I am pretty sure that all of you have probably encountered some of this negative culture in your careers as you've grown. You've probably seen it. You've probably said, I'm staying away from it. You might have let it. You might be leading it. You might have walked into it and changed it. But it is, in my opinion, the exact opposite of any of what we leaders would ever really truly want to be a part of. And I certainly hope that if we do walk into it, that it's the first thing we notice and change. I believe deep down inside that culture is the invisible force that decides whether a team rises together or falls apart. And in my mind, a really good team must be the fabric of the culture that you lead. And I want you to consider this as we move forward in talking about this, but I want you to really consider this as we head into this fall and as we head into the holiday season where things get stressful, things get busy, things get piled on. When somebody asks you, how is your culture? I don't think that they're just asking you about your brand, what's special about your perks that you offer or the policies that you guys have. I think that they're asking more about a day-to-day experience of being on your team. And I think that it's something that you should prepare to look at this fall and this holiday season as we enter it. And I think a good way to reflect internally is a couple of ways. One, I think values and action. Actions always speak louder than words, and we've all heard that one before, right? Does your team, ask yourself this, does your team live out the values you say you stand for? And if teamwork is a value, does it show up in shifts where people naturally help each other? Or is it actually just like fake news on the wall around your stores, the back of your stores, in your catering kitchens, wherever? Are there just posters like teamwork is everything to us? Or do you live by it? Because I really think that you should look inside and truly ask yourself that question. Your team's energy and morale. How do you feel when people, excuse me, how do your people feel when you show up each day? Are they drained? Are they excited? Are they motivated? Can they see and feel your energy and motivation? If they're not happy, does it bring your team members or you down at all? How do you, as their leader, show up each day? Again, I would love for you to look inside yourself and truly ask yourself this question. Culture is often felt in small moments, greetings, tones, communication, willingness to jump up, pitch in. Pay attention to this. You might start to notice some cracks or some little things in your group, your team that might need a little bit of checks and balances. Now, trust and communication with your team. Are your people comfortable speaking up with any ideas or concerns? Do they hold back because they are afraid of being criticized or shot down? Do you, as the leader, take feedback well? Are you, as a leader of your team, all about growth and opportunity? Do people see a future for themselves within the team? Are you about creating bigger opportunities for people on your team? Are you about making sure that they grow, that they learn, that they take themselves to the next level? Are you that type of a leader? Strong cultures with good teams give people chances to grow. They don't just fill in shifts and say, check the box. If so, if somebody's going to ask you, how is your culture? Start paying attention to how you really can truly and honestly answer that. Your culture could be built around teamwork and respect already. And people on your team, they honestly and genuinely respect each other and they come together on tougher days. When you've got, a $200,000 event and it's going to take everybody and everything pulling their own weight to make sure it goes off without a hitch, and PS it does, and everybody came together and they're celebrating that, that is a good team, that's a good culture, that is something that you did as a leader. Or in your reflection of teams, are you still developing? And are there parts of your culture that might still feel very strong where you're saying, "No, this is Erin, everything you're saying is how our team is. This is the way that we feel." Or are there parts that still need work? And those little weak areas are something that you realize, I'm going to turn and start to focus on that. And I'm going to find a team member on my team that I can have help me as the leader develop that so that it's stronger. I think that one of the things leaders should always make sure that they're pausing and realizing is that if they are surrounding themselves with the right players on their team, that those team members want to step up and do a lot of good work for you. And if you create a different type of environment, those team members are never going to step up. So some of this training will come from you as the leader, checking yourself and saying, do I need more development here? Am I as good of a leader as I think I am? Or it won't. So I'm going to pause really quickly because I see that there are a bunch of questions coming here. And I want to make sure that I answer some of these because I know I'm talking a lot about teams and positive and negative. So the first question I'm going to jump to quickly is, do I believe a team is defined more by the leader who builds it or the people who make it up? Wow. So funny. I believe both. I believe the people who make up the team make it really positive, but I believe the leader is the one that needs to kind of steer the ship in the positive direction, right? So that really doesn't answer the question though. I think that the team can be defined by the leader, but the people who make up the team matter greatly because the leader helps put those puzzle pieces together, the people being the puzzle pieces. And I mean that in a very positive way, that we're taking their strengths and everything and we're combining them together. I definitely think that that's a really awesome question and something that we should all kind of, when we're reflecting on this, yeah, I struggle with that. because I can debate that if we want to debate that. I think both are super important, but I think that a leader, you can have a great team and a really crappy leader, and that leader will destroy the team. You can have a great leader and a not so great team, but that leader should then start to work on making a better team. Does that help? Does that answer it? I don't know. Don't judge me for that. What small daily actions from a leader can have the biggest impact on creating a positive culture? I coach this with some of my clients. I think checking in with your team is a small little daily action that you can do as a leader that will create a very positive and personal connection. I believe that asking how people's families are, or if they're going on a vacation, or trying to get to know somebody on a personal level at work is a very, very important detail of being a really good leader so that you can relate to pieces of your team's lives and humanize you. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. And I think that it's extremely important for you to make a little bit of effort each day getting to know something really cool about one of your teammates. The next question is, have you ever experienced the difference between a thriving team culture and a failing one, and what stood out most? So I personally have witnessed this. Um, I think when I was talking about the negative culture part of earlier, when there is distrust and blame, I think when people start hiding mistakes and point fingers at other people and really kind of don't fix a problem, they just kind of move on. I think that there's failure within that little part. And I think that that's an area where you can kind of start to recognize if there are weak parts of the foundation. That it's when people aren't taking accountability for anything that might have gone wrong and they start blaming other people, and or they're trying to deny that they had anything to do with it so that it doesn't look bad. I think making sure that people don't feel that their leaders are going to get mad at them. I think that that's an important thing about making sure that you have um, a culture that's a positive one that's going to thrive and not one that will hide and fail. Um, Somebody that takes accountability for their action or their mistake. I have personally been that person. I've made mistakes, many of them, and or screwed something up big time, and I take accountability for that. I have taken accountability for that, and I think that that is because I know that honesty is best, and my leader would have wanted me to, speak up and say I totally screwed up. Okay. How do you know when your culture is starting to slip into negativity, or how do you correct it quickly? So, with today, I think everybody should really reflect on asking themselves the true, honest questions of, how is my team? Is there drama anywhere? Are there issues? Do people get frustrated? I think if you have a tiered breakdown of managers and assistant managers and everything like that, I think having little conversations to understand where your culture is. If you really don't, that's okay. There's today to start that, which is why we do these different segments on Cater Linked, is to gain knowledge and experience from all of us coaches who have experienced it or helping people who have gone through it. So if it's starting to slip, I would try to identify why and where that gap is or where that issue is, and I would speak to those who it's surrounding, because they might know more about it and they might be able to start showing you where the problem is. If it's a blame game or pointing fingers specifically, if there's confusion, most of all, I find often in any case, lack of communication always is a breakdown in anybody's culture. So check your communication, and I bet that you can correct it quickly with making sure that you're directly having discussions with team members who might be disgruntled, upset, confused, or just kind of like feeling as if nobody cares. What is an example of healthy conflict that you've seen that actually made a team stronger? Getting tough questions today. Um, Healthy conflict. Okay. We have the holidays coming up. Everybody's buzzing about their holiday menus for 2025. There could be things that you, as the salesperson, feels would be a really good menu to sell, and the chef completely disagrees with you, thinks it'll be so much effort, too hard, there's too much to know. Team members might not, wait staff might not be able to get all of the exact details of it all down so that it's marketed appropriately and the guests understand what they're eating or so forth, right? And it could be a make or break of, well, this could bring us a lot of profit, this could be really good, or it couldn't. I think having everybody come together in a room and talk it out, run through the actual pricing, try to listen to both sides and simplify things a little bit if it needs to be. But bringing everybody together and talking to each other and really understanding and listening to your team members builds respect and also allows for them to maybe look at things through a different lens. So I think that that can actually make you have a stronger communication within your team. Can rejection, when handled well, actually strengthen a team or an individual? Okay, so this actually is a really awesome question because I had this type of question or type of discussion in this person who I was talking about in the very beginning here, where I said that this person was very talented. They are awesome. They are great. They are, I mean, they're just freaking badass, in my opinion. But they were really hurt. And what it did was, interestingly, it deflated this person not making this team, deflated some people on the actual team because they thought this person deserved to be on the team. It completely deflated the individual. But here we are about 15 days later, 10 days later, and this person has found their grit. And we've talked a lot about when you don't make teams, look at famous athletes, right? Famous athletes, I won't name specifics, but famous athletes who have failed a million and one times and finally decided that, they were going to do everything that they can and they make the big leagues, right? I don't know, NBA basketball players. You can, all of those that have failed and failed and failed till they finally make it. Finding that grit and realizing sometimes that rejection can have a positive outcome for you as an individual, I think is absolutely the silver lining there. I do think in this situation that I was referring to, it brought one team, the team that this really awesome individual was put on, it brought them together because they respect this person and they really like this person. And after this person's ego got, a little bruised and they shook it off, they realized that they had this moment to be a leader for this other team. And they have stepped up. And as a result, I think it's going to be an end all positive. But originally, I think it was a little bit tricky. And I think rejection in general can be tricky. And it's how you self, reflect is how you can really gain strength from that. How do we create consistency in our team building efforts? Team building, as I said, is legit an everyday effort. You have to do, as I was saying, those little micro things every single day. You can't stop. You can't stop. You can't take a day off from constantly building a positive team in your culture. It The day you pause, the day you stop your consistency is the day that you've given it a little bit of an effort to possibly fall off track. Now, the goal is that you're constantly building a positive team. So if you're not doing something, that your team has picked up the baton and they continue to carry it down and continue what the team building efforts were, to be great, to be cohesive, to have good communication, to work together. But you have to do it day after day and stay committed to it. And if you do, you are going to earn the trust and respect out of everybody. You are going to make sure everyone understands the purpose. You are going to have your shared accountability, and you will have built an energy and momentum of positivity that's fueling everybody's motivation and staying on this team that's going to go do great things. That's my answer. Now, I'm going to take it back to those are great questions, and I really appreciate everybody in those questions. And I'm sorry if my answers felt a little bit tricky today, because this is hard. This teams and building a really good team really is hard, and I think that making sure that we're paying attention to this as leaders is something that we always should be checking ourselves on. And I think being honest with ourselves, because developing as leaders every day and wanting to say proudly that you have a strong team and you have built a strong culture, I think is our goal, and we should continue to push it as leaders. Um, I want to have you today leave wondering some of the following questions. Are you proud of your team? Are they proud of you? I want you to ask yourselves these questions. I think write them down if you want. Are they proud of you? Can you feel your team's energy? And can your team feel your energy? Good leaders and coaches, for that matter, right, have moments sometimes that you don't even realize. And I think that this has been one of the biggest things that I've learned as I was working on writing this piece, is that as a leader, there are micro moments that we might go through where we could change somebody's day big time. We could change their career. We could be such a positive influence on some of our team members or other people's team members that could last a lifetime. And I think as leaders, being self-aware of the magnitude of, and I say this, uh, I don't want to use this word, but this is the word I think of, the amount of power a leader has to make a very positive impact on somebody, a team member, a group, your organization, is so profound. And in my discussion with this person who didn't make this team and felt bruised by the fact that they didn't, because this other leader wasn't, sucked. I mean, in my opinion, sucked. Um, it really had me asking, do I want to be that type of a leader, or do I want to be the type of a leader that makes people feel really good, makes people feel welcomed, makes people feel heard, makes people feel proud to work for, makes people feel energized, picks people up when they're down. By the way, have a team surrounding them that picks them up, because we as leaders carry a heavy load on our backs. And sometimes we leaders need a team to help support us and to cheer us on, right? It is two ways. So I would like for all of you leaders to reflect after this session today and ask yourself, am I making lasting impressions on somebody, anybody, my team? Even ask your team. I mean, you can have a really cool discussion about it. You as a leader are only as great as your weakest link. And if I had any final real words today, it would be to wish you all of the wonderful things that good leaders are capable of pulling off for their teams. But I hope that you leaders want to go build a chain of steel within your team so that you can go do great things for your brands, for your teams, for yourselves, and be awesome leaders, and not be the type of leader that people don't want to work for or constantly create negative energy. Go be light, go be a positive influence. And if you think you are, that's awesome. But really look at yourself after today and ask yourselves those questions. Are you proud of your team? Is your team proud of you? Do you give off a positive energy? And does your team feel a positive energy? Those are important things that I think everybody should really focus on as good leaders. And don't be the reason why somebody's ego is damaged. Not to say that, it needs to be, you need to fluff everybody's ego, but don't be a person that isn't a thoughtful leader. I think thoughtful leaders are what make up the best leaders. And there's ways to deliver bad news or that things aren't going well in a very positive way. So that's all that I really have for today. A little bit shorter than normal, but I hope that everybody has a good rest of their week, and go ask yourself, how is my team? How is my culture? And do I have the right team and a good team? Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Bye-bye.